For folks that know, we have our own studio, of course. You already know that. So we try for us to get more content out. It's gonna be frequent times where you're not gonna have the entire crew. You know, it might be Feefo, Myke, and Ken. It might be myself, Ken, and Myke. So sometimes you might not have all four of us, but if you want to get those, if you want us to get the pump the reviews out the way you want us to, sometimes it might be in a sacrifice not having the entire crew. So take it how it is.
Dead in Hip Hop, well, 3/4 of Dead in Hip Hop. Album review. Saba, is it an album, Ken?
Yeah. It's his second. His first one was Bucket List.
Okay, this is the first time I hear it, buddy. What made? Because you've been kind of pushing
From
for
Chicago too.
Yeah, from Chicago. Never heard of him. Obviously, I think he's a relatively new artist. Why did you like? He's like, yo, we gotta review it. We gotta review it.
I want to say 2 years ago, Q texted me and was like, yo, y'all need to check out this dude, Saba, Bucket List, whatever. Like, this dude is tight, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, I saw it. I think I saw people talking about him, and I was like, all right, cool, I'll get to it. Never got to it. So then he slowly started to build momentum, get more of a name to himself. More and more people started to talk about him. And keep in mind, I still haven't listened to any of his music. I just know that Q's plugged in, he's young, so he's kind of in the know with what's kind of popping, what's bubbling up. So Gary V, he put him in like this playlist that he had. And I think Gary V, I think he did an interview with him. So I'm like, okay, so I'm starting to see his name more and more and more. So I was like, so I already had Q already plugged him. I'm starting to see people talk about him. We got a couple of tweets about asking us to do it.
I want to say a lot of couple is an understatement. Like, people be asking.
It was a lot, yeah.
People was asking,
So it was like the culmination of all of that.
And I think I remember like when we put it in the Patreon, we did a poll on Patreon one time. And he was requested a lot on Patreon.
That's right. He sure was. I do remember that. Yep, he sure was.
Saba was never on my radar. Never heard of him. You know, obviously, I was born in Chicago. Love all of the music that's coming from Chicago. You know what I'm saying? Especially these guys that sound unique. And Saba is one of those guys. When I was just listening to it, I'm like, man, the person that just jumps out at me. And I'm like, damn, like this person doesn't sound just like him, but just puts me in the same frame of mind. Jid.
I thought you were gonna say Chance.
He has.
You don't hear Chance?
He has a little, I would say, like, you know, just a little Salt Bay of Chance. You know what I'm saying? He got a little Salt Bay.
As far as like what? Like, cause I think his flow is completely different from how Chance rap.
I think the tone of his voice.
Yes, at times. Yeah. Like the song. I want to say maybe Calligraphy. It's not like it's full bore on. This is a Chance, you know. Yeah, but I heard a little bit in him. But the person that it really brought me to was Jid. Like the way that he could just sing, first of all. The difference in his production, right? Like, 'cause it's just not boom bap-ish or, you know, new age or nothing. It's all over the place. But I think it's very jazzy. You know what I'm saying?
Chicago is jazzy.
Exactly.
Chicago's a big jazz city.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I feel like his production is extremely his flow is ridiculous, right? Because like that song he has with Chance the Rapper, Log Out, you know what I'm saying? He's kind of doing that new age choppy shit, but it doesn't sound like that new age choppy shit. And he just has tremendous flows. And then the other thing that I took away from him was that, just like I said, all of my favorite artists, like, you get to know who he is. Like, they give you glimpses into who they are as people, the scenarios, the experiences they've been through. 10 songs, 42 minutes, so it's not that long, you know, so you can get in and kind of get out. But at least for me, he left an impression. Like, I'm like, damn, you know, I definitely got to go back and listen to some of the other stuff, especially. And that's the reason why I wanted to start off with knowing why you wanted to do this one so much, because I didn't see all of that, you know, everything bubbling up and, you know, him starting to really get put on the radar. I didn't see that. But definitely listening to this, he's like, and he's young. I think you definitely could take that, and he's super talented. I think he's really gifted. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing I took away. One of my favorite tracks, Prom King. Holy shit! It's a super long track. I think it's the longest track.
The storytelling.
The storytelling.
The time.
Yes.
flies by.
Exactly, and then the beat switch as well. So he kind of goes from like this, you know, just normal rapping. Then the beat speeds up. He speeds up.
But it felt kind of seamless though, right?
It
didn't
did
feel like it was
seamless.
like a drastic beat switch.
Exactly.
Like he kind of like walked into it.
Exactly, and it's weird when you have songs that are like two songs, two different beats and stuff, for it to not sound like two different tracks. Like oftentimes when we do these reviews and artists do those type of beat switch ups, I always think, oh, it's the next track, it's the next song. This one you kind of knew because he kind of stayed on the same timeline with the story and everything, even though it kind of switched up. So it made you feel like you were still in the same place, you know. And that's, I would say, it's hard to do because not many artists, you know, can really transition the same song like that.
But again, that kind of goes to that whole infusion of jazz that he has, because he's able to kind of speed up the tempo of the track, change the track, reminiscent of improvisation in jazz, where you can just switch up stuff on the fly. He kind of walks and slowly walks into it. Like, he's the focal point, because you're listening to the story, and next thing you know, he's like in full like aggressive rapping mode. That's again in conjunction with the story, because at that point there's a lot of tension going on, there's a lot of drama going on, and you're like, man, what in the world is going on with this dude Walter? And you wait until you get to the end, but then you know, underneath it, the drums are just crazy. Like whoever was playing the drum, he was like chaotic, but it was in rhythm and on, because I played the drum. I'm like, man, this dude like I'm just in my head, I'm thinking like, man, can I play that shit? Yeah, I probably could. Yeah, I probably could play it. I still got some skills, but I was just marveling at just how that whole song was composed. And when the song was over, I was like, man, what in the hell happened to Walter?
Yeah.
You know, and again, that speaks to his storytelling, his ability to kind of bring you into whatever, you know, topic or conversation or story that he's trying to tell you.
On log out, right? Like how the song just abruptly ends. Like you're logging out. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man.
Oh, you know what? I didn't get that. Yeah, I picked that up.
Yeah, because the way it just like, because I was listening, I'm like, oh shit, is that the end? Like what happened? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, I think that he's extremely detailed. I love artists, and you watch that in hip hop, I always say it, like, tie all this shit in. You know what I'm saying? Tie in the name of the album, your artwork, the name of the tracks, like bring that shit together. Don't just have this shit out here just because you wanted to. I get it, and that could be artistic and your own, you know, way of doing shit. But I like artists that are. It just makes me feel like they're cognizant, like they're aware, they're present, like they understand how important it is to tie it all back. For him to be like. Just from the picture, just, you know, the album cover, he seems like he can't be older than like 22, 23. To be that young, and he just sounds so polished already. And I don't know how many previous albums or mixtapes, and, you know, I don't know where his starting point was. Right. You know what I'm saying? But if this is one of his first, you know, 2 to 3, maybe 4 projects, god damn. Motherfucker got skill, man.
Yeah, that was one thing I noticed too about this dude is how, like you mentioned, he was so polished. Like, because this is my first time. This is my introduction to him. I've never heard of him before until Ken was mentioning to us about, you know, reviewing it, and I just haven't had a chance to get around to it. But yeah, if I ain't listened to it, I know he has some really good self-reflecting songs, very honest songs. You know what I'm saying? Like just poured out the Broken Girls and Life and. Calligraphy, Fighter, you know, like just like a lot of good stuff, and also great storytelling. Like that's one thing. That was the 2 things I really noticed a lot. Besides, you know, the production was like a great. He had great self-reflection songs and great storytelling. Because Prom King was definitely dope. One of my favorite tracks, I guess, as far as the way the song was sequenced, was Great. I love the way that the live instrumentation and the jazzy feel on Great was. That's like easily, when I first heard that, I was like, oh shit, like that was like the song that just had me, was like, I'm like, let me hit that one on repeat. But yeah, like, you know, Sirens, I like his, you know, his song concepts he had on here throughout this project. Heaven All Around Me, and then the Sirens joint, I think it was the first track, the Sirens. It was a clever way how he tied it in, and I can't remember exactly like the certain lines he was saying. It wasn't like Sirens from the Police though, like the way he tied that in was kind of clever, and I wish I remembered. But yeah, that's one thing I noticed. Like, this dude sounds so polished. He sounds comfortable. and he has a great ear for beats because I think every track pretty much was like bam, bam, bam. If I had to pick some songs where I was like, I think Smile and Log Out was probably like the lower points of the album. Not saying that they were bad.
Yeah.
Not saying that they were bad songs or whack songs, but it was just kind of like it kind of dropped down for me a little bit. Then it picked right back up with Gray, and then he finished up.
But with Log Out, like, is your, I guess, grief more so with Saba? Because I felt like Saba, it was interesting, right? Because you get this multi-versatile artist, right? And we hear how polished he is, how skillful he is, and then you hear that, and it's like, okay, it's like an ode to this new age rap, right? But then when Chance comes in and then he comes back, like I don't know, like, because I kind of felt like you at first, but then I don't know, Chance kind of saved it for me. I was like, oh, okay,
it was just. I mean, the album was on a great run with the first 5 joints. I ain't like the hook for Smile, so that kind of turned me off a little bit. I didn't like that. And then, Log Out, it was cool. Chance was all right. Chance he wasn't really the star of that, which is good that, Saba was still the star of the show. But, like, Chance didn't really add nothing.
He didn't add much to it.
He didn't add much to it, really. Not saying that, like I said, it wasn't whack. It just didn't really, he didn't really like add nothing to me where I'm like, oh man, Chance verse on Log Out was something that was nice, but it was just like, But then when Gray came back on, I'm like, okay, yeah, now we back on track. And then Prime came, and it was that Heaven all around me. Like, yeah, it was just, that's the album was over. I'm like, oh yeah, bet, only barely 40 minutes, bet. I like this. Let me listen to this again. And because I didn't, at that time, I wasn't looking to see how many tracks it was. I'm just like, listen to the album, bam, bam, listen to each song so I can kind of remember which song. I'm like, okay, cool. But after that, I was like, okay, yeah, this dude, I mean, for this to be my introduction to him, pretty good. It's pretty good. I'm impressed.
I didn't quite, like my first, like I said, I'm with you guys. Heard the name, seen the name, never listened to the music until now. So much like you guys, this is my first introduction to the music, right? So when I first listened to it, like Care For Me was the first album I listened to. So, I didn't quite get it at first. So I'm listening, I'm like, okay, I don't, like you said, we talked about the hype.
Right.
I was like, man, everybody's saying this guy got nets, he's this. Like, I could kind of hear it with Chance. I was like, I don't quite hear it with Saba. And I went back and listened to the Bucket List, and then I was texting back and forth with Q about it. And I definitely like Bucket List probably a little bit more than this one. It was a little bit more upbeat, a little bit more energetic, but I think that was his debut album, so I got a chance to kind of get, okay, so this is like where you were, and this is kind of where you at now. So I kind of heard a little bit of the progression, and then I kind of listened to Care For Me kind of for what it is and not as a debut album, right? Because I think my mindset was like, this is my first time hearing it, this was his debut album, and that wasn't, and that wasn't fair to him, but that's just what it was. Like, so, but then I listened to it, listened to the storytelling, listened to the beats, and I was like, okay, I kind of understand a little bit more now. And just the overall tone of the album itself is kind of dark and melancholy, and I'm looking for something like upbeat and hype and pleasant, or cheerful or whatever, and it wasn't it. So then it pulls you into like whatever mood or zone that he wants you in, and you're like, God dang. And then the funny thing is, like Prom King was the first one I was like, okay, I'm with dude, because even listening last night, when we were here listening last night, and I just, in open space, I could hear like how he played with his flow and played with the songs a little bit more and being more aggressive and not sticking to the same style of rap. And then when I was driving home and I listened to Prom King, and I was like I told her, I was like, what the hell happened to Walter? He said what happened to Walter on the opening track.
He said Jesus died for his sins, but Walter died over his coat or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally missed it the first couple of times I listened to the album.
And he was angry too when
he was
said
angry,
it.
yeah. But once I listened to Prom King and listened to the story and got caught up in the story of just him, like, and it's kind of also, it also painted like them as humans, as kids growing up in Chicago, where the stories and stuff that we hear about Chicago, and now we hear in this different side of Chicago from a guy that I just want to get with this girl, and I just want to go to the prom. But I can't get this girl to go to the prom, so my cousin hooked me up. But my cousin a little short, so I gotta hook him up. And so it was just cool. It humanized them in a way that, when the likes of drill music was going on, Chief Keef was, we didn't get.
Favorite tracks. By the way, this definitely bumps in the whip. I don't know if I said that, but Favorite tracks, I'm gonna have to go Broken Girls, Life, Calligraphy, Log Out, Gray, and Prom King, which is basically half of the whole shit.
Busy Sirens, Busy/Sirens, Life, Gray, and Prom King.
Busy/Sirens, Life, Prom King, Gray, Broken Girls.
So Saba, man, if you watching, bruh, like I gotta go back. I gotta see how you got here because it's interesting. Like, you know, like typically when we listen to younger artists, there's certain things that they can improve on, or this, that, and the third. And in all honesty, I really don't hear any weaknesses. There isn't anything that I would suggest. But again, before I make that my final statement, like I definitely want to listen to all of your previous works. I'm definitely a fan. I'm definitely gonna check you out. And just continue, I would say, to push yourself creatively because you are extremely unique. And nobody that I've heard, you remind me of, a lot of younger guys coming up, like I said, Jid, but you're unique, and I want to see what you do moving forward.
Yeah, Saba, if you're watching, man, I heard what you said on Prime King, that you hoop. You can get this work on this basketball. If you're watching this, you can get this work on this b-ball court. But other than that, yes, great job on the project. I was about to say debut album because I feel like it's my debut to you. But what's the name of the project, Ken?
Bucket List.
Bucket List. So I'm gonna definitely go back and check out Bucket List because I want to hear the journey. Like, you know what I'm saying? I want to see going from the Bucket List and then from what Ken was saying, the maturity. It sounds like you got mature with your flow and your content and everything. So I definitely want to check that out. But yeah, if you have a new fan, man, I'm definitely interested in seeing what you're gonna do creatively on the music tip because you're young and so you got plenty of time to grow as an artist, and it's gonna be interesting to see how much you can grow and how much you can improve or make a project better than this.
Yeah, Saba, if you're watching, echo what everybody said. Great job on the album. This is my official introduction to you as well, and yeah, I gotta say I walked away impressed with what I heard, and what I like that you're doing is the way you're using jazz and the sounds and how you're integrating that into your music and your style of rap. I think is really good. So yeah, man, just keep doing what you're doing, man. The thing I like about guys like you coming out of there is that you're telling the story of like Chicago and things that's going on in just a different way. It's positive, and we need more of that in hip hop.